Hello everyone, it's Ren here. Welcome to my room, guys. I hope you're well today. I am a little bit hyped up on coffee, so any strange behavior, I blame this. Today I want to talk about the concept of hating being an INFJ type, which a surprisingly large number of people who identify as INFJ seem to relate in my comments. So I want to look into that and look at what we can say about it. And hopefully this will also speak to the people who would identify as these individuals. Remember that this lovely book over here, The Ecstatic Soul, the deepest investigation of the INFJ written so far, is available in the description box down below for less than $10, available on the Amazon websites. The links are provided. You can go for the ebook format or the paperback, and if you have any questions, you can ask me. Right, so I hate being an INFJ type. This is something that I hear quite often. I've been hearing it for years, to be honest, and it has taken different forms. Sometimes when discussion of types takes place, INFJs will, at least some INFJs will say, that it's really tough being an INFJ. But it's never more common than when the idea that the INFJ is a rarest type, which obviously is now challenged by the other notion, the newer notion that the ENTJ might have supplanted the INFJ as rarest type. I have thoughts on that I'll link in the description box as well. INFJs will usually say, why do people want to be an INFJ? Like, why is there a desire to possess the INFJ personality? Presumably because it's a rarest type and it would comfort these people's vanity. But these people, because they're not INFJ, are far from realizing how tough it is to be an INFJ. And any real INFJ will never come forward and say being INFJ is great. I'm an INFJ and I'm so happy. And, this is quite a striking thing, really, because I think that both sides, the side that says, INFJs are the rarest, INFJs are awesome, blah, 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 blah. And then the side that says, it sucks being an INFJ, I hate being an INFJ, I wish I were another type, it's really hard. I think both sides are taking INFJ and types in general too seriously. They're essentializing a type. So who you are is much more than your type. This is something that you should always remember. And I'm not saying that being a person who identifies as an INFJ type is not sensitive, is not introverted, might not have issues dealing with other people or with conflict or going out in the social world. But it's very likely that your issues and your problems and what you have to fix in your life can be done without even bothering about the whole INFJ thing. There are probably practical things for the most part, and things that you can work on without even being aware of the personality framework. So the cause of what's going on with you, and I do take it very seriously, is not really your INFJ personality. Because again, we have two sides of the same coin here. Taking the INFJ label too seriously is to take it as more than a tool. It's to take it as something that can save you. And failing to save you, it comes to be seen as something hated. There's nothing more disappointing, and there's nothing could make you more bitter than the promise of something that turns out not to deliver. But that's because in the first place, you might have invested too many hopes in what type can do for you. Type will do nothing for you, to be completely honest. It all depends on what you do with the tool called type, to understand yourself better, to identify your strengths, identify your areas of improvement, so if you want to call them weaknesses, but weaknesses that can be improved, improve your self-awareness, and work on being the best possible version of yourself, not in the eyes of the world, but really in the eyes of yourself, in the eyes of what you want to do and what you think can make the world meaningful for you. Of course, I do try to answer some of these questions in my book. And if you read my book, you will get the sense that being of the INFJ persuasion is incredibly important. It's incredibly important to be aware of it in order to work on it. But in fact, if I were to comment on the content of my book, what I would say is that what I do is identify a certain way of looking at the world, a certain quality of consciousness that is associated with INFJs, but ultimately the decisions that the person has to make when it comes to opening up about the contents of their NI, seeing their discussions with others, opening up to others as a collaborative enterprise, living their visions or their prescience as a vocation. These things are things that happen to be relevant to people of the INFJ type, but they're not things that have to do with INFJ-ness, because that's just a label. It's a useful label that we can use to point out certain types of personality, certain qualities of certain consciousnesses, but there's no point being, either angry at the label or to regret a label or to feel like the label is making us suffer, because labels are lifeless things as long as we don't actually do something with them. And if they only have use and meaning when we do things with them, we might as well do things with them that are for our own benefit. So a type will not solve any of your problems, and if you become enamored with your type, you're going to have faced a serious number of issues: solipsism, maybe self-centeredness and isolation, and you might cease to make an effort to understand other people. So that is not good. And then on the other side, to think that type has cursed you is also not good. But it's not good just not because it's detrimental, but because it doesn't really mean anything. It's the point of personality, the point of type, is really to get to as deep and refined an understanding of how your psyche operates, in order to get it to know so well that you learn to accept it, embrace it, be tolerant of it. In a way, see it as a kind of friend. There's a philosopher whom I like a lot, Richard Rorty, who says that one of the challenges with in our globalized world is that when a culture is very foreign, we can have trouble understanding it, and perhaps as a result trouble also empathizing with it. And there are studies made that suggest that we tend to demonstrate more altruism toward people who look more like us. And what Rorty says is that one of the beautiful things about writing and novelists, many other jobs of course, but I'm just picking those two because he used those examples, is to say, because these writers, say writers who travel to, who write about lots of different topics, about refugees, about people in other cultures, immigrants, but many other things too, people from different communities, sub-communities, is that they offer us new vocabularies with which to identify ourselves with these people. So the power of words is very important. The more you get to know about someone, and you know that very well, you might dislike someone, and the more you get to know them, a lot of the time you come to appreciate more where they're coming from, and sometimes you may even begin to like them. I think the idea is the same with type. The more you understand what your psyche is made of, the more you understand its complex mechanisms and the challenges it faces, you come to, in a way, make peace with yourself. At least this is how I see it, and this is why I try to help people understand themselves better insofar as they identify with the INFJ personality and other personalities. But at the end of the day, the power to give meaning to your type is yours entirely. And so if you decide to look at your type as a savior or as a destroyer or as a curse, in a way the responsibility lies with you. It was your decision to see it like that, and you do not have, you're not forced to look at it like that. You are the one behind the type. The type is not behind you. And essentially, that's what I wanted to say on this topic, because it's a trend that I see a lot when it comes to INFJs, more than any other type perhaps. So I thought this video might be important to make. Now consider dropping a comment, a like, and subscribing if you're very, very nice. And I'll see you soon, guys. Bye.